Hi there everybody, I'm Chef Martin Earl and I'm here in the ThermoWorks demo kitchen today to talk to you about turkey. You might think it's a little bit early to get going on turkey, but really it's not. Everybody cooks turkey one time a year, they never practice it. And you need to think about it a little bit more if you want to do a really good job. So we're going to talk about turkey today, my favorite method for preparing a turkey and some temperature tips along the way. So let's get started. First thing that we need to talk about is thawing a turkey. Cooking a partially frozen turkey is a recipe for disaster. The inside needs to cook all the way up to doneness. The outside is going to get overcooked. So you need to make sure that your turkey is properly thawed. To make sure your turkey is properly thawed, follow the instructions on our other video or our blog post about how to thaw a turkey. Check that out. The link will be in the description below. But once you have your turkey and it is properly thawed, you want to check to see that it's thawed before you cook it. You can lay the best plans and they can really go wrong. So you want to take your Thermopen and you want to just stick it into the breast, and you're looking for nothing underneath 30 degrees, nothing underneath 32 degrees. So you want 32 or higher through the whole thing. I'm fine there. This is at about 39 degrees actually. So I know this is safe to cook because it's properly thawed. Once we start cooking it, obviously, to make sure it's safe to eat, I need to cook it to the proper doneness temperature. Now, the USDA recommends 165 degrees for all poultry. Turkey's poultry, so 165 is what they recommend. What you can do, and this is actually according to the USDA's information for food producers, is cook that turkey to a slightly lower temperature, 157 degrees in the breast. It just needs to stay at 157 or higher for about a minute's time, and it's certainly going to do that. But even when you take it out of the oven, the temperature of the breast will rise to 165. If you take a turkey out of the oven at 165 degrees, it's going to cook to 170 degrees or maybe even higher. That's where it gets really dried out. So we're going to set our turkey temp for 157 degrees. Now, that's for the breast, and there's a problem with cooking a turkey, and that's that you're cooking two kinds of meat. You're cooking white meat and you're cooking dark meat. And white meat is done perfectly when it's just barely done. There's no connective tissue in there very much. There's not a lot of fat. It's very lean. So when you cook the breast meat, you want to cook that until it's just barely done. But if you're cooking dark meat, which is also on a turkey, that's not really done. I mean, it's safe to eat at 165 or 157, but it isn't tasty until it gets to about 175. All the extra connective tissue that's in the dark meat and the thighs and the wings and the legs, that needs a higher temperature to break down and become gelatin. And so I never liked dark meat growing up because it was always rubbery and kind of squidgy and just But if you cook it properly to 175 degrees or higher, then it's not a problem. It's delicious, actually, at that point. It's kind of shreddy and tasty. So that's a problem for cooking a turkey, and we've written about how to address that. There's a couple of different ways you can address that. You can chill the breast more than the legs before you cook it. That way the temperature differential stays with it. We're going to spatchcock this turkey today, and that is actually thermally advantageous as well as delicious. So let's talk about what that is. Spatchcock is a fun and weird word. Basically, we're going to butterfly this turkey. And there's some real advantages to that. What we're going to do is we're going to splay it out. The wings, the legs, with the breast is going to be in the center. All that dark meat is going to be on the outside, more exposed to the heat, so it can cook faster. The white meat will be in the center of this thing, so it's less exposed to the heat. It'll cook a little bit slower, so you actually get a built-in temperature differential that way, which is fantastic. Plus, all the skin on the turkey, the whole thing will be face up. You get more crisp turkey skin. Usually the bottom skin of the turkey is garbage that is just soggy and gross and thrown away. Also, a lot of juices will accumulate inside the turkey. Those are actually going to go into a bed of vegetables, so it's better. Plus, a spatchcock turkey cooks very quickly. You can cook a large turkey in as little as an hour and a half, depending on how cold it is when it goes in and how large a turkey it is. This is a 10-pound turkey. We'll see how long it takes to cook this thing. It's not going to take very long. You can cook a turkey much more quickly, spatchcock though. Plus the fact that it's laying out flat instead of sitting up tall in your oven will allow you to cook other things at the same time. Gives you a little bit more wiggle room on Thanksgiving or Christmas to get things done. Disadvantages for spatchcock turkey are purely aesthetic. Having a splayed out bird come to the table is not a Norman Rockwell dream picture, obviously, but Norman Rockwell lied to us, and those turkeys don't look like that, and a turkey that is cooked like that usually isn't as good as this is going to be. So if you're after a presentation, you're going to want to not spatchcock your turkey. But if you want to, if you're after flavor, then spatchcock turkey is really the way to go. So spatchcocking is the process of first we're going to cut out the spine, we're going to flatten the turkey by breaking its breastbone, and then we're going to season it, do the skin up really nice, and then we're going to cook it. So I've got here some heavy kitchen shears. You just want to put your shears on either side of the spine here and start cutting down the spine. And if you don't like the sound of bones crunching, this might not be the job for you. We'll get to that bone in a second. So we're going to go down both sides of the spine. This is actually also really advantageous for your gravy. You can take this turkey spine and you can brown it up and you can throw it into a stock pot while your turkey's cooking, and you can make a quick stock. Just go ahead and do a hard boil on that. It's not going to make the clearest, cleanest stock in the world, but you're making gravy out of it anyways, so who cares? But you can get turkey stock while you're cooking using the spine. If your bird comes with neck in the cavity, then use that too, and the giblets. So there we go. This last bone's a little bit hard, obviously. So there we have it. We're taking the spine out, and this little bit here, let's just go ahead and cut that out too, like that. We're gonna throw that into a stock pot, and we can go ahead and use that later. So now right here you can see inside the turkey, here's the breastbone. I'm going to take a sharp knife. I'm just going to run right down the center of that a little bit to kind of separate it. You can see right here, the turkey I've cut. You can slice down the breastbone just a little bit right there. And then we're going to turn this over. And if you didn't like the sound of bones crunching before, there we go. Now we have, we're going to untangle that, a spatchcock turkey. It lays flat. You can see we've got dark meat here, the wings outside, we've got dark meat here, the thighs and the legs like that. Actually, we can even tuck those like that. We're gonna snip this here. You can cut off any extra skin that you want, but I like the skin. I'm just gonna probably end up laying the skin out so that it cooks a little bit more, kind of like that. So you wanna take the legs, and you want to flip them over like this to prepare it for cooking, like so. And that's going to protect the thinnest part of the breast. That very point of the breast where it's the thinnest dries out the most. We're going to cover that breast meat in dark meat right there. We can take the wings and we'll tuck them in underneath like this so it's reclining on the beach. And there we go, that's a spatchcock turkey. There's still a couple things we need to do this before we can cook it, but the first thing we need to do is dry it off a little bit. So we're going to get some paper towels. If you plan ahead by a day, it's best to unwrap your turkey and put it in the fridge uncovered overnight before you cook it. You get a really nice, crisp, dry skin that way, and it's going to be a little bit better. But I wanted to show that if you didn't do that, you can pat it off like this. So I'm just going to go in kind of every nook and cranny that I can to try to get as much water off. The more water we get off of this turkey, the crisper the skin is going to be. And we are going to end up with some amazing, beautifully crisp skin. The next thing we want to do is season this turkey. So we're going to use some salt and we're going to use some compound butter. So I'm going to start here at the base of the turkey. You can kind of lift it up like this and get your fingers underneath the skin. Again, turkey cooking properly is not for the faint of heart. We're going to get a little salt up underneath there, rub it around. You might want to look at our post on dry brining a turkey and the advantages of that. I didn't do that for this because, again, I want to just show the most basic version of how to do this. So we got some salt up in there. We can go from the other side. Separate the skin there. Get a little bit more salt in that way. There we go. Nice. So we're going to salt the outside of the turkey too. Just rub some salt into the skin. Any other seasonings you like on a turkey, welcome to go here. Go ahead and do that. But I really like to use some compound butter. Now I've made this compound butter, just butter mashed together with some parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme, and a little bit of lemon zest. You can throw some garlic in there, is really nice. A little bit of nutmeg, never hurt anything. So we're gonna take this, we're gonna make little patties of it, and we're gonna shove that up under the skin on the breast. Looks like a weird lump in the turkey, but that's okay because it's gonna taste amazing. So this is 1 cube of butter, a little handful of herbs. There's some there. We'll go in from the other side also. Stuff it up under there, like that. This is going to impart some really lovely flavors to the turkey, and the butter is going to help just a little bit to keep it moist, just a little bit. So, there's that. And then I have here, one moment. Always make sure you're washing your hands well when you're working with the turkey. Don't go around your kitchen taking raw turkey juice everywhere. Nobody likes salmonella for Thanksgiving. So I have here also some melted butter. I'm gonna pour a little bit of that on the skin. I'm just gonna kind of massage that into the skin. This is going to help it brown and crisp. I've read lots of instructions that say massage butter in the skin, and they're always talking about raw butter, and I've tried to massage raw butter into the skin of a turkey, and it doesn't work very well. You can see the butter's solidifying on there. Okay, I'm gonna have to wash this pan handle now. But there we go, a little bit of butter there. That'll be just great. Back here too. There we go. Okay, this turkey's ready to pan up. So let's talk about how we're going to do that, and one last place to develop flavor in this turkey. So I have here just a regular cookie sheet, half sheet tray. To this I'm going to add some celery. I've got 2 sticks of celery here. Just kind of scatter that all around. Chopped up nice. I've got 1 onion, kind of a medium to large onion there, sliced. Gonna go ahead and put that in there. Mix that around. I have 1 Granny Smith apple peeled and sliced, and 1 turnip peeled and sliced. All of these are really aromatic. They're gonna give a lot of flavor without even touching the turkey. And I got 2 carrots here, same story. If you have some parsnips are really good in this. I recommend those. So just gonna kind of mix this around. Make sure that it's, you want it kind of evenly distributed, but it doesn't really matter because the turkey isn't gonna be in direct contact with it. Here we've got some poultry seasoning, parsley, sage, rosemary, once again. Kind of scatter those around on here. Or I guess that's sage, rosemary, and thyme. Here's my parsley. So I'm gonna put some parsley down on there too. Now what's gonna happen when we cook this is that all the juices from the turkey, the butter that's gonna melt off of it, the fat that's gonna render from it, the juice that's gonna come off of this, is all going to go down into these vegetables, and they're gonna stew in that. And you're gonna end up with the most amazing sauce and juice from this that you can go ahead and make gravy out of, or to be honest, here in the ThermoWorks kitchen, we just dip chunks of turkey into it and eat them. So that's fine. Now we're gonna just pick our turkey up here. Lay them on there, rearrange the legs because they come apart like that. It's okay if the whole thing isn't exactly on the pan. Let's get the front of it as close as we can. Go and get those legs on there. Now, of course, we need to talk about the doneness temperature of this turkey. And there's only really one way to know when a turkey is done, and that's to take its temperature. Cutting the breast to see if the juices run clear is a great way to get a dry turkey. You're sending the juices all out before it can rest. You're doing that. Wiggling a leg doesn't tell you anything. I don't know how a leg wiggles on a done turkey versus a not done turkey very well. And in this case, well, that doesn't help a lot at all anyways. Poking it, bad idea. Pop-up timers are not a really effective way of testing it. They are very accurate instruments when they're produced, but producers can put them anywhere in a turkey that they want, not necessarily in the thermal center. And a lot of them are actually set to a much higher temperature than you want them to be. They're set to about 180 degrees. So if you want a dry turkey, then trust the pop-up timer. The best thing you can do is really to use a leave-in probe thermometer like the Chef Alarm or the Smoke. So the Chef Alarm is a fantastic tool for your kitchen. We've got this high accuracy probe. All of our Pro Series probes are accurate to 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's really good accuracy. What you want to do is, to do this, is you want to place the probe in the deepest part of the breast. Not the furthest down, but in the part that's furthest from the surface. So I can see right about here is my deepest part of the breast. It's the thickest there. So I'm going to line the probe up like this. And I can go in from where I see it's the deepest and go in like that. And I can kind of wiggle the tip to see where it is in there. That is just about right there. So I'm going to set this temperature for 157 degrees in the breast. Again, I'd rather have breast meat that is perfect. With this arrangement, the thigh meat is probably going to be perfect too, but I really want to make sure that it's safe to eat and that breast meat isn't overcooked. So I'm going to set this for 157 degrees. We're going to cook it, and then I'm going to take its temperature again with the thermopen because I want to verify that I'm actually in the thermal center. There's a good chance that I'm not in the very thermal center of this breast. I've cooked a lot of turkeys, hit the thermal center 2 or 3 times the first try. So we're going to cook this, take its temperature again. If we're not at 157 degrees, we'll go ahead and move the probe a little bit so that we can find the true thermal center. I can't really give you a time for how long it's going to take to cook a turkey. I'll tell you how long this one takes, but how cold your turkey is, how hot your oven actually runs, how well it circulates, how big your turkey is, all those factors go into the doneness of a turkey. Now, because of that, we don't cook by time, we cook by temperature, and that's really the best way to go. If you have a recipe that tells you to cook a turkey for so many hours, ignore that part of the instruction, cook it by temperature. Cooking temperature, we're going to cook this thing at 425 degrees the whole time. That scares some people. They think they're going to burn their turkey, but at that high heat, we're going to crisp the skin quickly. We're going to pump enough heat into the thigh meat and the dark meat to get it up to that higher temperature. Our breast meat is safe here in its little island in the middle. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be fast. So let's go ahead and pop this in the oven, 425 degrees. Okay, I've got my Chef Alarm set to 157 degrees in the breast, and the turkey's cooking at 425 degrees. We'll come back when it's done and take a look at how this turns out. Well, our turkey just beeped at 157 degrees. It actually went off a little while ago. I checked the temperature, found out I was off on the placement of the probe a little bit, so I moved it, and now it's come to 157 degrees again. We're going to check it out and see how it is. All right, I've removed the probe and taken the turkey out. I checked it over there, but we can take a look at it again here. And we're right on target there. That's actually going to continue to go up for a couple of minutes. We're going to let this turkey rest for about 10 or 15 minutes to reabsorb the juices that have kind of redistributed themselves in the muscles. But let's go ahead and temp the dark meat and see what it's at. That's about 190 there. That's actually even at 200. For dark meat, that's okay. We need to be at least 175, but it'll continue to do well up to about 200, 205 degrees. So the dark meat's in a really great place at that temperature. 200 degrees is just fine from 175 on up to 200 degrees. It's gonna be extra delicious, extra tender. Our breast meat is in a really good place. So we've achieved perfect temperatures for both parts of the meat, and that was in for about an hour and 18 minutes, just 78 minutes to cook this 10-pound bird. It's fantastic. Give it a shot and have a happy Thanksgiving. This is Chef Martin from ThermoWorks. Thanks a lot.